The Vanishing of Isla Monroe. Chapter 1. A quiet morning. It was a Tuesday morning when Isla Monroe disappeared. The sun was just beginning to stretch across the horizon, casting a soft golden light over the small town of Willowbrook. The birds chirped, the smell of fresh coffee wafted through the air, and the world seemed peaceful. Isla, a 16-year-old high school junior, was just like any other teenager in Willowbrook, smart, kind, and a little shy. Her parents, Evelyn and Nathan Monroe, were preparing breakfast when Isla came downstairs. Her long auburn hair still tousled from sleep. She smiled at her mother, kissed her dad on the cheek, and grabbed her bag. "I'll be home by 4. "Oh," Isla said, slipping on her shoes. "Don't be late, sweetie," Evelyn called after her. It was a simple, uneventful morning. Isla walked out the door and into the world, unaware that it would be the last time anyone would see her for a very long time. Chapter 2. The first signs. By the afternoon, Evelyn began to feel uneasy. Isla wasn't answering her phone. At first, she brushed it off, thinking that Isla was just caught up with friends or homework. But by 4:30, with no sign of her daughter, Evelyn's anxiety grew. Nathan, who had been at work, came home to a frantic wife. "Have you heard from Isla?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling. "No. She should have been home by now," Nathan replied, looking at his watch. They both stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their concern pressing on them. Evelyn called Isla's phone again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. Her heart raced. "Should we call the police?" Evelyn asked, her voice cracking. "I'll give it a little longer," Nathan said. Though his own worry was evident, they both knew their daughter well enough to know that she wouldn't just disappear without telling anyone. As the minutes turned to hours, the sinking feeling in their stomachs deepened. Isla wasn't answering her phone, and no one had seen her at school. A sense of dread began to settle over the Monroes. Chapter 3. A disappearance. Night fell, and Isla's absence grew even more disturbing. The Monroes had called her friends, the school, and even the local mall. No one had seen or heard from her. It was as though she had vanished into thin air. By 9 p.m., Nathan made the decision to contact the Willowbrook Police Department. Officer Rachel Simmons, a seasoned investigator, was assigned to the case. She arrived at the Monroe home, taking down the details: Isla's last known whereabouts, a description of her clothing, and any possible reasons for her disappearance. "I'll need to ask around, speak with anyone who might have seen something," Officer Simmons said, trying to reassure the family. "We'll do everything we can." But the more the officer dug, the more unsettling the situation became. The town of Willowbrook was small, and people knew each other well. Yet, no one had seen Isla after she left her house that morning. No one could provide any leads, and her phone remained off. The Monroes clung to hope, but with every passing hour, it seemed less likely that Isla would walk through the door and tell them she was fine. The search for Isla was just beginning, but already it was clear that something was terribly wrong. Chapter 4. Searching for clues. The days that followed Isla's disappearance were filled with a frantic search. Officer Simmons organized search parties, and the Monroe family passed out flyers with Isla's photo on them. The entire town rallied together, but no one found anything useful. The trail went cold. Then, 2 days later, a clue appeared. A local woman, Mrs. Anderson, had been walking her dog near the outskirts of Willowbrook when she found something strange: a notebook, partially buried in the dirt. When she opened it, she recognized Isla's handwriting immediately. The notebook had a mix of notes, sketches, and even some personal thoughts. But the most chilling part was the last entry, which read, "I'm not sure how much longer I can keep running. They're closing in." The Monroes were devastated when they saw the notebook, but Officer Simmons insisted it was a significant clue. The note hinted at some kind of trouble Isla had been involved in, something no one knew about. But what did it mean? Who was they? And why was Isla running? The police dug deeper into Isla's life, uncovering hidden aspects of her world that no one had known. She had been communicating with someone online, someone she'd met in a chat room. She'd also recently been spending a lot of time at the library, but when they asked the librarian, she claimed Isla had been researching something strange: missing persons, cults, conspiracy theories. But the most perplexing discovery came when they examined Isla's social media. She had posted a photo of herself standing in front of a building that no one recognized. The photo had a timestamp from the day before she disappeared, and in the background, someone was partially visible, a man in a dark coat with a hood over his head. Chapter 5. The Dark Web. Officer Simmons' investigation into Isla's online life led her to the discovery of something much darker. It turned out that Isla had been spending time on the deep web, a hidden part of the internet known for its illegal and dangerous activities. Through this, she had come into contact with a group known as the Shepherds. The Shepherds were rumored to be a secretive group that operated in the shadows of the internet, using it to manipulate people, control information, and recruit vulnerable individuals. They were often linked to missing persons cases, with rumors of brainwashing and coercion. The more Simmons uncovered, the more terrifying the picture became. It seemed Isla had been lured into this world, and now she was caught in something far beyond her control. But where was she now? Chapter 6. A hidden location. As the weeks went by, the investigation seemed to reach a dead end. The Shepherds were a phantom organization with no clear trail to follow, and Isla's whereabouts remained unknown. However, something unexpected happened: a breakthrough. One of the members of the Shepherds, a woman named Charlotte, reached out to Officer Simmons. Charlotte had been part of the group, but had become disillusioned with their methods. She wanted out and feared for Isla's safety. "I don't know where she is," Charlotte confessed over a secure phone line. "But I know they're keeping her somewhere in the mountains. It's an old cabin, hidden from view. They'll do whatever it takes to keep her there. She's a key part of their plan." Charlotte provided a rough description of the location. Officer Simmons immediately coordinated a search mission with a team of local law enforcement officers heading into the mountains. The Monroes waited with bated breath, praying that this was the moment they'd finally find their daughter. Chapter 7. The Rescue. After days of searching through dense woods and steep terrain, the team finally found the cabin. It was isolated, hidden by trees and overgrown vines. Inside, they found Isla. She was thin, pale, and frightened, but alive. She was immediately taken to the hospital, where doctors assessed her physical condition. Emotionally, she was a shell of the girl she once was. She told the police that she had been trapped by the Shepherds for weeks, manipulated and threatened. They had tried to break her spirit, but she never gave up hope that someone would find her. Isla's return was bittersweet. The Monroes were overjoyed to have their daughter back, but they were also devastated by the traumas she had endured. The investigation into the shepherds continued, but many members had already disappeared, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Chapter 8. Healing and moving forward. In the months that followed Isla's rescue, the Monroe family worked hard to rebuild their lives. Isla received therapy to help her process the trauma she had experienced, and slowly, she began to regain her sense of self. The bond between her and her parents grew stronger than ever before. Though Isla's story made headlines and the shepherds were exposed as a dangerous cult, the memories of those dark days would never fully fade. Isla learned to live with the scars of her past, but she refused to let them define her. She was a survivor, and she was determined to live her life to the fullest, and in the end, that was all that mattered. The end.